All right, we're in Minnesota. A little cold today, so I got the furnace going. Got some snow going on here. Got the Chevette inside. So it's not much of a car, but you know what? It's something. Um, Grand Prix. I fixed the training line, patched that together, gave the battery a charge, got some tires on it, and drove it outside. It'll be back in here after I rearrange tonight. So looking at this, I got the air cleaner off so far. The mice actually chewed through a couple of the spark plug wires, chewed up quite a bit of stuff in here. I tried getting it turn over, but all the wiring is so hashed in this thing right now that it won't do it. Many years back, this thing hasn't been on the road since 2005. Was my brother's car. He drove it. Then I drove it. My parents had driven it a couple times, and my sister had driven it. When my sister drove it, that's when we had the issue with the rear end. But for the most part, it was a good running car up until that point. I had replaced the head on it. It had cracked when my brother was driving it, so I had got a different head for it. So we're gonna go ahead and see if we can get this pulled out. Well, maybe tonight we might be able to get it all pulled out, see what happens, and see if we can get it to turn over on the floor anyway. When I tried with the battery, we had issues with the wiring. All I could do is I got the headlights to turn on, and as soon as it wanted to start cranking, she shut off. No power. I think it blew the fusible link. So we'll go ahead and get this out and see if we can get it to crank over at all. We will get rid of a lot of that emission stuff because there's no need for it. We're not going to reuse the AC on it either. Heater box will go away, the whole 9 yards. We'll go ahead and strip out the interior. Hopefully we don't find any little friends, and go from there. Well, look at that. We got a book so we can look at the wiring diagram. Like, I'm gonna need that. This thing's gonna be completely rewired. So I think I'll set this on time lapse. It'll be the first time using that, and work on pulling this engine out. So my battery's almost dead in my camera, so I have to stop and get the charger before I go any further. I got the radiators out, AC pump, the alternator, part of the AC system out of the way. We're getting there, slowly but surely. Been working on about an hour now. Not too much, not too long anyway. We keep pulling apart while the wiring out the motor. Don't quite know how I'm gonna go. Keep the carburetor, all depends on if it's loose or not. We'll hopefully find out here pretty soon. Check to see if that's loose. Well, most of the vehicle is a mix between standard and metric, so looks like that's an 18 millimeter. Let me grab a 1/2 inch here. All right, got a 1/2 inch. Let's see if we're gonna be lucky enough to get this thing. Oh, look at that, it's loose. Sweet. Yay, spiders. She's loose, which is an awesome sign. So that tells me that nothing is tight. So we're gonna be able to use this. Not a whole lot of compression there. We'll figure that out. Maybe they got a valve that's sticking a little bit, but it doesn't have a whole lot of miles on, I don't believe, if I remember right. The people my brother bought this from pulled it behind a camper for many miles. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it says emissions and 37. So obviously we had an emissions issue. I think if I remember right, my brother bought it with 81,000 miles on it, and it was towed about 40,000 of those miles behind an RV. So it's got the RV or the tow bumper, tow mounts up here on the bumper. So it really doesn't have a whole lot of miles on it. So being it's loose, it's a great thing. We'll go ahead and keep continuing to pull it out, and you never know. The way this thing looks, it's gonna be going in there. Not a lot of motor, a lot of truck, but this car only weighs 2,000 pounds. That truck weighs probably 3. So not a whole lot different. But I have a turbo sitting here. You never know. It might fit. I might make it work. That'd be kind of cool. We'll have to take a look and see. But right now I'm going to get a charger so we can continue on here. Let's go ahead and try pulling this thing out and see what we got. I didn't pull the shifter loose, so that might come back and bite us in the butt. We'll find out. All right, so we got the clutch cable. Let's go ahead and get some light. So here's the clutch cable. Still hooked up to the transmission. We want to get that off as easy as we can and try not to have to worry about pulling it off of here right now. But it's almost looking like I'm gonna have to pull it loose there to get it removed off of here. So I'm gonna clean up some of this grease and take a look, see what we got going on. If I can't get it off from here, I'll have to go ahead and pull it off the pedal. It should pull off of here though. Looks like there's a retaining clip on this side. And there's a hole there for the cable to go through. Yeah, we should be able to pull it off. If we can get that retaining clip out of there, and maybe have to let a little tension off of the front of the cable. Looks like it has slots right here for tension, so it looks like it's seen its better days. Looks like there's E-clips in there holding it tight. So we'll go ahead and pop some of them off, release some of the tension on the cable, and pop this retainer here off, slide it up and out, then we can go ahead and finish pulling it. Cable's out. Let's make sure nothing else is hung up on the engine. Looks like there's a wiring harness sitting over here. It's just hanging out. There we go. It's still quite vertical, and that is because the shifter is right at the firewall. All right, it is out. So there we go. That will hopefully be, as long as I can make it work, the engine for patches. Hopefully we'll be able to get back on the patches here soon now that we have an engine that might actually fit. The body's pretty much on where it needs to be. I need to lift up the cab a little bit to level out the front. And then I can actually go ahead and start mounting the cab. So I probably need to lift the cab up about 2 inches off of where the frame is to make it so that the radiator core support can be mounted and it can be fairly level. Right now the core support's too high. So once I get that done, and mounted, then I can go ahead and get the engine in there and set up. We'll have to figure out if we're going to do something different with the front suspension. Right now I'm just planning on letting it be, get it drivable, and then we'll have to go from there. Then we got the Chevette left. Now that the engine's out of it, we might go ahead and start stripping her down the rest of the way. I've talked to my wife about it, and I think this is actually going to be our new drag car. It's actually quite rust-free, and kind of sucks, but I am going to be totally ripping it apart and cutting it up. Looks like we had a bad engine mount over there. Funny. Found the exhaust manifold was missing 2 bolts in the back. They're not broken off, they're just gone. A couple of ground wires weren't hooked up, probably from when I had replaced the head. That was so many years ago. I was probably 16, 17, just learning the ropes. So we got projects. Thunder Chicken, that one is going away. That one's gonna go bye-bye. Right now I got it for sale. If it sells as is, then it's gonna go. If it doesn't sell as is, I'm gonna tear it apart and possibly take the engine and put it in the Chevette, and all the good parts, and then sell the body. Wherever it goes, it goes. But for right now, I'm planning on selling the whole thing complete. I'm not going to give it long because I need to get rid of it. I got too many cars sitting around. I don't need the city getting on me for it. So we're going to go ahead and call it on this one. If you like what you see, please stay on, subscribe, like it, and we're just going to keep moving on. Thanks.